Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited that you tuned in for today's episode because today we have an amazing guest with us, a girl that I definitely look up to, one of my inspirations, someone I can call a friend here with me, sitting next to me live in our podcast studio. We have Sanne Vloet. Please say hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're so excited to have you on the podcast today. When we went for like a little matcha and coffee walk and talk the other week, and I just learned more about your story and what you've been through, I was so inspired and was like, we need her on the pod. The pod fam needs to know about her journey because you're such an inspo. You've been through such a journey already at such a young age, and I feel like there's a lot to learn from you. So we're so excited and happy to have you on.
Oh, thank you for your kind words.
Of
What
course.
an introduction here.
Maybe let's just start off and just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, you know, where you live, what you do, just some basic questions.
Yeah, so my name is Sanne Vloet. I'm originally from the Netherlands. I grew up in Zimbabwe in Africa. And when I was 6, I moved back to the Netherlands. And at an age of 18, I moved to Paris to just try out and start my modeling career. I actually got scouted through the TV show Holland's Got Talent while I was doing like acrobatics on TV, and I got scouted. They asked me like if I wanted to do modeling. I was like, you know what, let's try it out. And yeah, from there the ball really started rolling. I came to New York when I was 18, immediately moved. I was like so in awe of the city and the lifestyle, and I was like, this is amazing. And I kicked off my modeling career. I lived there for 7 years, and then throughout the pandemic, right before I moved to LA, I just really felt I needed to change, and I got into the health and wellness place, and now I'm a wellness entrepreneur, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an incredible journey, an incredible story. I feel like that is one of the hardest things to do, is to leave your family and literally go to a completely different country to go for, you know, career or whatever it is that was next step in your journey. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that transition? Because I'm fascinated by like now you're living full time in America with your husband. Like,
Yeah.
what is that like?
Well, I was definitely a type of person who was like really excited to like move and like explore the world and like get out. So when I had the opportunity to go to Paris, I was like, okay, it's still like kind of close by, I was able to like travel easy back and forth, but I was just so excited to like go out and like try new cultures and do things. Life in Paris was definitely a little harder because I didn't speak any French, and it was really hard to connect with like French locals and to make friends. So if I look back at that, I'm like, wow, that was a pretty lonely time. But then as soon as I moved to New York, that's where, I don't know, the city is just so exciting. I had a lot of Dutch girlfriends, other like models. I had a really good like community around me. And obviously I was like traveling so much so I could like go home. So yeah, that was kind of like going back and forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's such an exciting time. Like when you're 18 years old, you move to a new country, you're starting your modeling career and like making all these friends. I can imagine it's kind of like college-ish in a way, but even more.
Yeah, kind of.
That was
And
your
I was
college.
still,
Yeah.
you know what? I was still visiting like my college friends, like at college parties and stuff when I was living in Paris. Like I still really felt connected, obviously, to home and to my friends there and stuff. So it was like a very gradual, I don't know, I think move in that sense. And my parents have always been traveling a lot too. So I think I kind of got a little from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have that worldly like essence. You understand different cultures.
Yeah, and I always had in the back of my head, when you move somewhere or like try a new place, like if you don't like it, then you just go back. It's not a big deal.
Oh, yeah. I totally feel that. I mean, I've been traveling a ton these past few months and seeing other cultures and countries and the way people live. It's very eye-opening.
Yeah.
So I can imagine. Anyways, I want to ask a little bit more about your modeling career. So I knew you were like very deep in the modeling industry. And while I'm sure there's a lot of amazing things that came with it, I know that there's definitely some hardships too. So can you tell us just a little bit more about your experience in the modeling industry and kind of why you decided ultimately to truly kind of exit from there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you framed it really well. I've had really amazing opportunities and amazing moments, throughout my modeling career, and it brought me so much. I learned so much from it, and I'm forever grateful that, I was able to work for really big brands and like do the runway shows. But it also definitely came with another side that I feel a lot of people don't see. I've always seen like the modeling on like a really high level in like the high fashion. It's like top sport. Like you're on a flight every single day. It's just like hotel, flight, on set. You're like exhausted through jet lags. You don't sleep, but in the meantime you do need to like look your best, feel your best. Like your skin needs to be good, like you need to be in shape, and like the pressure there is like really high. And I think especially with fashion weeks and like Victoria's Secret back then, like it was very much about like the sizes, the way you look. Like even sometimes on set, like while you were still there, they're already like photoshopping you and stuff. So like it is definitely also from a mental health perspective, it was like a lot, because you feel like people are constantly judging you on the way you look, and like you're almost like putting your like worthiness to that in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think throughout that whole process, it was actually the moment that I started to fall in love with like health and wellness, or like fitness and nutrition, because I had to. I had spent quite some time in Paris, and my agents were like, you are looking a little puffy, like you're gaining some weight. Like if you want to go to New York, if you want to, really get to the top, like you have to be like really sharp and whatever. And I have been doing like sports my whole life. I was doing acrobatics, and I just saw that. I was like, okay, like I will do this. And I started training, and I started really diving deep into like health and nutrition, and kind of seeing like how I could do this, because I was like, I do not want to sacrifice on like delicious foods and stuff. There must be a way to be able to live this lifestyle and still have, good nutrition and like whatever. But it was very challenging balancing that. And I, obviously saw a lot of young girls around me who were really, really struggling, because especially when, in the modeling world, like one day you can be doing nothing, and then the next day you can be booking a Prada campaign or another, really big show, and just blow up the next day. It's just so instant. Like it's partly so much luck, it's hard work, it's like literally all together, but like you just never know. Your career can change overnight, which is very rare in any type of career. Like a lot of careers, like you need the experience and things like that. So
right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was a mouthful, but
no, that was perfect. I mean, I'm just fascinated by the behind the scenes of it, because it's like such a foreign concept to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoa, like how does the behind the scenes actually work? And like I can't even imagine the amount of pressure you must felt. Like your body and the way you looked was directly tied to your worth, essentially, in the modeling industry.
Yeah,
and like
it actually was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. And I think when I was in it, I didn't really like see that at all, because I was just so motivated to like go to the top. And I was like, oh my God, every opportunity came my way. I like wanted to do it, and I wanted to go 100% for it. So I think when I was in it, I didn't really see it that much.
Right.
I think it was once my mom who like came with me throughout the shows, and she was like, oh my God, this is not okay. Like, how are you surviving? And I was like, I don't know. So it's interesting that like now I'm like a little older, and I'm looking back at it, I'm like, wow, that was not a good lifestyle to live.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's hard because those things are so normalized in the modeling industry. And you see that in other industries too. So for me, for example, back in the day when I was really, really, really into fitness, like hardcore, first getting into like weightlifting, counting calories, macros, etc. And all I followed were like fitness influencers. And this was back in the day. It was a little bit different than it is now. And, all these other people in the fitness world. And all of those things were normalized. So I thought it was like normal. Like, oh, you're just supposed to be like doing all of these crazy things, working out for hours a day, tracking your macros, and like being so strict about every little thing that you eat, clean eating, restrictive. And it wasn't until now I can look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's actually like not normal. And it took me a while to kind of reach a breaking point to snap myself out of it and be like, okay, this is actually unhealthy for me. So I guess I'm curious, like, when was it that you reached a point, or it hit you? Maybe you reached a breaking point where you were like, I actually don't want to keep doing this anymore. Like, when did that happen?
It was very gradual. It wasn't like a certain point, but I already started to notice at one point where it was like, okay, I, have a career here. I am modeling. I was like, I should use this as I should use this platform to like build on. I saw it as like an opportunity rather than like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, wait, I have this. I should use it. And this was kind of, I don't know, this was a year before the pandemic, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start like sharing my life on like YouTube and like share what I'm doing, like kind of my preparations for like the VS show. I think that was one of my first YouTube videos, and then kind of what I was cooking at home and like what I was doing, and like I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I was like, let me just like try some things out and like maybe, go on social media, maybe like try to build a platform there so I can actually have a voice, because that was something I was really, really missing throughout my career, where I was like, wow, I have no say, I have no voice, I can't put my creativity in something. So I was just like trying some different things, and people started to pick it up, and I was like, wait, actually people enjoy watching, the recipes and things like that. And then obviously the pandemic happened and we were all stuck at home. I wasn't traveling as much anymore. And I think this was a really big moment for me to really slow down, to really reflect of, my past few years. And then I fell in love with, health and wellness.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's amazing. I feel like the pandemic gave everyone a little bit of time and space to like really ask themselves these questions, like, what do I want to be doing? What do I feel called to share?
Yeah.
And so I think it's beautiful that, you took something already existing, like your modeling career or platform, into building it into something that you actually feel genuinely like passionate about, and creating a voice that maybe you needed when you were younger. So it's beautiful. I mean, your transition to, becoming more in the health and wellness space has been amazing and really fun to watch. I'm sure it came with a lot of backlash though, right? Like people were probably,
100%.
like not always supportive of that.
100%. I always felt, in the modeling career, it was all about like building a certain image and things like that. And I think in the last years, it became also, very like edgy and cool and whatever. And like agents would tell me like, okay, like you got to dress carefully, don't be so nice on set and like things like that. And I was like, so like, if that is constantly things people say that to you, like you get confused and like you actually lose a little bit of your own identity a little bit.
Yes.
Because you're just kind of like, I don't know. You look up to like the agents and like the people you work around you. And I think especially, when I started YouTube, it was seen as very like commercial. I think only like Carly Kloss was like sharing stuff on YouTube. Like fashion wasn't really on YouTube yet there. And it was kind of seen as a little like commercial. And I think agents, they kind of did say they supported it, but like not really. And it wasn't really like a cool thing to do. And I deep inside, I knew if I was going to continue it, that something good would happen out of it, but I also would leave something behind. And I was ready for that. So yeah, it was tough because like if your people around you do not like support you in that and just like kind of continue, then my husband Max there was very like supportive, and he like guided me through it because he was kind of familiar with like YouTube platforms.
Right.
Like I was not. I'd never seen a YouTube video in my entire life. But I was like, you know what? We're just gonna try it out and just see where it brings. Yeah.
Wow. So if there's someone listening right now who maybe wants to, take action and do something that they love, share more or whatever the case might be, and they don't have the support around them, or people are telling them, negative things about it. Like what piece of advice would you give someone if they were in a similar situation that you were, who, maybe was dealing with a lot of adversity to do what they love?
You cannot have your path for your future depend on other people's opinion. That's it. And I know it is so, so hard, but that is like that's the truth. And I also think it is important then to find people that are actually supporting you. And that is like the beauty. I know there's so many downsides of social media, but there's also beauty of it. Like it is so easy to connect with one another. Like you can go on Facebook groups, you can go on Instagram, like find like-minded people. And I think that was something that really helped me. And I think also for me, it was like moving to a new city. Like LA obviously is like Valhalla, but like people here, I feel way more like understood than like what I wanted to do. But I think that would be a really good tip, is like if you don't have that support system, find people that will.
So true. It really reminds me of my journey too, into, quitting my corporate job and working for myself full time in the wellness space. People would always tell me, like my friends from college, other people would always have something to say, like, you're gonna make money from Instagram, you're gonna do this. Like, they were like telling me I'm nuts. And so what I did was I started messaging other girls on Instagram and TikTok who were also posting like health and wellness stuff. And then long story short, I came and visited LA and met up with them in person, got coffee and like really put myself out there in new situations with new people that also were like-minded as I was.
Yeah, I think that is very important. Like you have to take action on it, and like you have to be able to like reach out and stuff. But I think you will be really surprised actually, like how open people are and like are willing to connect.
Yes, I completely agree. So I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk more about like your take on health and wellness, because I love hearing more about like people's perspective on wellness and like what works for them. And, you've been through your own personal experiences. So love for you to share any wisdom or just like your mission, I guess, with health and wellness. Like, what does that even mean to you?
Yeah, I think, so one of our quotes actually for my wellness platform, SOULSYNCBODY, is life in balance. And I truly think that this is almost the essence of wellness. And it's one of the hardest things to do. And I mean, with this balance when it comes to, all types of fields, like emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. And it is a constant, like tweaking your little habits, tweaking your lifestyle to see where you're at and like really balancing that out.
Yes.
I think that's been like my overall approach.
How do you feel like you approach balance, I guess, in your day-to-day? Like if someone listening who struggles, because I know a lot of girls struggle with, finding balance with health and wellness and even, more of the emotional, mental side of things. But like, how do you personally deal with balance on a day-to-day?
Whatever journey you're on, you gotta enjoy the journey. And I think a lot of people, they are on a journey that they're not enjoying, and that's where it gets really difficult. So whether that is fitness, for example, if you're not doing workouts that actually you enjoy doing or that do not make you feel good, then those are probably not the type of workouts that are meant for you. And you should try something else. Like there's so many different styles of like weight training, like Pilates, maybe it's boxing, maybe it's running, but like trying to find something that works for you and that you enjoy doing, because you're actually able to like stay consistent with it. And this also is for nutrition. And I think also for, when you're going out with like friends, or like really finding that balance there of like things you enjoy doing and also make you a better person every day.
Yeah, I love that answer, because it's so true, right? Like you don't have to think about balance as much when you genuinely enjoy it. Like if you're cooking foods you enjoy, doing workouts you enjoy, like you're not going to be thinking 24/7 about balance. Like it's going to just kind of happen naturally.
Yeah. And even with nutrition, like obviously I believe like you should have a healthy and well-balanced, diet with nutritious foods. But if you can't enjoy sometimes, a processed food or like a sugary food. I don't even like the word cheat meals, because I don't believe they're cheat meals. Like they are, you should, as long as you enjoy them and like be very, present with them and just be like, oh, this is amazing. And maybe it builds a new memory. Maybe you're out and about having ice cream with a friend. That's good. Like that's balance.
Yes. Yeah. The word cheat. I'm like, why are we even using, what are you cheating on? You're not cheating on anything. You're not cheating on your husband. Like what?
Yeah.
I never understood it holds such like a negative connotation.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah,
it's not life in balance.
It's not life.
That's for sure. We don't believe in cheat meals here.
Yeah.
So that's amazing, and I really love that. That's like a SOULSYNCBODY slogan. Like that's like a mission of you guys, is like life in balance. So obviously, I want to hear more about SOULSYNCBODY, your amazing fitness nutrition platform. Can you tell us a little bit more about the platform and like kind of the inspiration behind it too? I love hearing from other founders, like mission, like what really inspired you to start SOULSYNCBODY?
So, I mean, even when we're talking about life and balance, right? Living a healthy lifestyle sounds so simple on paper. Mm-hmm. You have healthy, nutritious foods. You work out every day, 30 to 60 minutes, drink enough water, and 8 hours of sleep. and maybe 30 minutes of self-care a day. It is so easy on paper, and somehow it is so hard for all of us to actually follow through and put this time and effort to our own bodies. It is hard, and I've really seen in the past too, especially during my bowler career, where, you know, I think definitely we're going there into like the extremes, but like I just saw around me how many young girls are truly struggling with this, with body self-image, but also just like not knowing where to start when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to fitness, because there's so much research out there, but also so many different like theories and like different research for different people. So like people are confused, and I totally can relate. I can totally understand. When I started, I was like, I have no idea. Like one person says like, eat so much meat. The other one is like, it's vegan, you know, it's like, it's confusing. But at the end, you need to decide for yourself what works for you and what is important and what you enjoy. And I really saw that as like, okay, I really want to provide people with tools for a more simple approach to wellness, because it does not have to be difficult, or it does not have to be hard. It's just about, you know, changing like small little habits and lifestyle changes. And that's where I really started SOULSYNCBODY. It is my digital platform where I offer like on-demand workouts, mainly like Pilates focused, but I've been adding a lot of strength workouts too. It's focused on mind-body connection. It has amazing like stretches, and in addition, there also a lot of nutrition. So I create recipes, but with that also meal plans, purely to make your whole grocery stress and decisions on meals like much easier. So actually, I give you all the tools, and it's just for you to follow, because I can understand how confusing it sometimes can be.
Yeah, I love that. You guys, if you're listening right now and you haven't heard of SOULSYNCBODY, or if you haven't looked into the platform yet, please definitely go check it out, because this is exactly what we need more of in the wellness space. We need simple, we need approachable, we need, you know, people like you really coming forward and saying, hey, it actually can be so simple, and we don't have to overcomplicate it. We don't have to be overwhelmed with, oh yeah, meat versus vegan and this versus that. It doesn't need to be that complicated.
It really doesn't. And, you know, I mean, obviously we're in LA, like we're in Wellness Valhalla, and like you don't have to do all the like crazy expensive treatments and things like that. At the end, it just comes down to eating wholesome nutrition, wholesome foods, and movement, and finding mindfulness.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, I know definitely this like simple, approachable, you know, kind of everything handed to you approach with SOULSYNCBODY really makes it unique. But I guess from your perspective, like what makes SOULSYNCBODY really different than other, you know, fitness or whatever other platforms there are currently on the market?
Yeah, I really think it is an all-round package to wellness, right? Because you can go online and find all sorts of like recipes, but like honestly, there's so much out there. And the way we want to simplify it is like, what do you actually have in your pantry? Like, what creative meals can you make with this? Or like, what with this one grocery list, how can you make 21 meals out of this? We recently did like a budget challenge. So like learning and like teaching you how to actually eat healthy on a budget, and just kind of go a little bit deeper than like, oh, this is what you should eat, or like this is the healthy nutrition. And I think with the workouts too, like I do every workout with you, like I guide the full workout, so it's almost like having a personal trainer there. Like it's not just like, oh, do these moves. Like I'm guiding you through the whole thing. I'm bringing a sense of mindfulness to it, where I really want you to focus on finding that mind-body connection, and that workouts that actually make your body feel good after, and not completely exhausted or tired.
I love that. And I love that you guys just recently did the budget, like meals, healthy meals, like under, what was the dollar amount?
We did 1 week under $75.
Yeah, that's amazing, because so many people I feel like can get discouraged from healthy eating. They're like, oh, it's too expensive. And you're like, no, it's actually accessible. Like you actually can, you know, do it affordably.
Yeah, you got to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's amazing, because this really makes it clear that there's no excuse to get into the wellness space and to, you know, even just 1 ounce, 1% better for yourself. It really can be so simple. Yeah, definitely. Is there like a favorite thing you have on the platform? I guess I'm just curious. Like, is there something like type of workout, type of recipe like that you just like, I love doing it? I'm curious.
Ooh. I have a couple of my like full body like foam roll stretches on there, and like I feel sometimes people are very intimidated by foam rolling, like kind of where to start, and I'm telling you, it changed my life. I started doing this every day. I started aligning my body, and the one big thing I noticed actually because I did that, I was more aligned. So when I was doing more strength training, I was actually able to see the results more because you're actually able to activate certain muscles that you before weren't activating. So like the foam rolling, that has been a game changer for me. I feel so much better. It's literally, even if you spend a couple minutes doing it, like you feel your body is just like opening up already in the morning, and it just feels so good. I also have a bunch of like signature just Pilates workouts like without any equipment that I can do like anytime and like anywhere. Those are always like my favorites. And then on the food portion, we have like a blue magic smoothie that I make like a lot, like brownies. It's basically it's all recipes that I make like on a daily and weekly basis too. So they're actually meals. It's not just like, oh, here's a carrot recipe and it's like a side dish, right? It's like, hey, here's a meal and this is like well balanced with like protein, carbs, and veggies and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Your recipes look always on point. Like I can even picture the blue magic smoothie that you're talking about.
Yeah, we brought it to some of the events and stuff, and everyone who has it is like, oh, this is really good. I love my smoothies. Yeah. Love my smoothies.
Me too. Yeah. Is there anything like any supplements, I guess, from just for you personally that you add into your smoothies or that you love taking every day? Like any easy like wellness things that you take or do?
You ready for my list?
No. Please.
I start my morning off with pre and probiotic. I love the seed one. It's so good. And then during the day, I sometimes have these like vitamin C, like the little packets.
Oh, the liposomal ones?
Yeah, I just got the ones from Aloe, really nice. I sometimes add like the sea moss gel from Akasha to my smoothies. And then I will have vitamin D. I always take supplements because even though I get sunlight in the morning, I just don't feel it's enough. So many people are deficient on vitamin D. And then end of the night, I will always have magnesium before I go to bed. And sometimes I will do like a little CBD. And yeah, that's it.
Any magnesium brand you love? I just took some before this, actually.
I'm actually now using like a random one that I got from the natural store, but I also really love the ones from Moon Juice. Really good. Vitamin C, or magnesium. Yeah, I make like a sleep drink and then go to bed. Yeah, and with magnesium, I've noticed such a big difference in my recovery a lot. Like after working out hard, that I'm like, okay, this feels good.
Yeah, no, magnesium's the best. So besides supplements, are there any other like wellness non-negotiables that you live by?
My wellness non-negotiables,
or self-care things.
Sunlight in the morning.
Yes.
I always will go outside and get some sun. Sometimes I'm on my balcony. You know, my neighbors are just like, what is she doing? Or like I walk the dog. I feel like any type of movement in the morning, even if I don't have time to work out, like I will go for a little like 10 to 15 minute walk and it just feels so good. And sometimes I don't even listen to anything. And I feel like I will literally just walk on the street and like not be triggered or like by any type of I don't know, sound or headphones or electronics. Like I will just walk in silence with nothing. I feel like nobody really does that anymore. I kind of agree with that
though. I've done that before, especially if it's like first thing in the morning. I feel like I just like need my thoughts to like come through. Like I don't know if it's like downloads or how I'm feeling, but like sometimes I'll put on like 528 hertz like healing frequencies and just like walk, and I'm like, I feel like it's like meditative, you know? Yeah. It's like a meditation walk.
No, I really love it. And sometimes end of the day, I have this little device. It's called like a Sensate, and it's like a little like vibrating thing, and you can put it on your chest. And if you just like lay down, the vibrations basically go through your whole body, and it like calms down your nervous system, and it feels really good. So I do that sometimes at the end of the day, like before I go to bed. Yeah.
Wow, that actually sounds amazing. I literally just posted a podcast episode today a solo one on like calming the nervous system.
Okay, well, you have to try this thing. You just put it on your chest, and it feels really good. It's amazing.
Yes, I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna ask you about it
Yeah.
after. But I guess to go off of like calming the nervous system, you know, you do a lot, like a business owner, into health and wellness, taking care of yourself, social life, like it can be a lot at times, I'm sure. So how do you find balance with all of that? Like, I'm actually personally curious too.
I mean, I'm not a master
Yeah.
of it. I think it's always, you know, for me, it's one of my like biggest like struggles, like to really find that balance. But it's actually, I don't know, I've come to a realization like since this year, it's been like really one of my goals where I was like, I want to find like more balance. And I used to be a terrible planner and like scheduler. Like I almost felt like, oh my God, if I'm like scheduling my whole life out, like I don't want to live like that. Like that every hour is like dedicated to something. And I was like, you know, freeing up and blocking time for like self-care, and like I was like I'm a Pisces, I'm like I want to be fluent, you know. But I actually really started to learn that I find more freedom and more like calmness if I actually do that, and I will find freedom within my schedule when I do that. So that's been a really big one, like scheduling out your month, scheduling out your week, your days, like really in the morning, and then also in the evening taking a moment to just like go over the day, go over the next day, and just kind of like really schedule time out. And then I think also another thing that helped me was kind of accepting, like when something is in balance, it means it's equal, right? So for a very long time, I was always trying to make everything equal: work, family, friendship, relationship, self, make it all equal. And I just kind of started to realize it's just not possible.
Right.
And you sometimes just need to give one field of or one area of your life a little bit priority. So let's say it's like this week I'm really focusing on work, because next week I'm going to be with my friends and family and I want to be very present. So it actually gives me a really good drive that week to be like, this week I'm fully on work. And I will tell my husband too. I'm like, this week I'm going to be so focused, like I can't do a lot of stuff. And what happens then the next week, I'm actually freeing up time to be really present with my friends and family because it's important to me. While before, I think every day of the week, I was trying to just balance everything out. And I think that has made a big difference for me.
I love that. I feel like it's so important to be like, you know, not everything needs to be balanced 100% all the time, because that's unrealistic, like in your life, you know, all the different buckets. And I feel like it's so like freeing to be like, okay, this season of my life, or this season, this month, week, whatever, is going to be more focused on this, so then I know afterwards it can be more focused on something else. I truly believe that if you like weigh that off, and I think that creates life in balance. If you're able to do that, like fine tune, like be very aware of like, now I'm giving this a little priority because then I'm giving that a little priority, and doing that without juggling and like being behind your schedule and like kind of get carried around with life, then that's when I feel you find like the more peace and balance. That's kind of what I found. But, wow, we're bringing life and balance to everything.
Bringing life and balance
to everything. It's not just health and wellness, it's everything. We're bringing life and balance too. So I guess I'm also curious about this, but I know a lot of girls look up to you. You know, you're crushing it in the wellness space, and especially with SOULSYNCBODY, you're doing such a great job with that. What advice would you give to other young girls who, you know, are aspiring female entrepreneurs, or aspiring to be, you know, having their own brand or business in the wellness space, and maybe they don't know where or how it's going to start, but they know they want to do something and make an impact? So what advice would you give to someone in that position?
I would say honestly, just do it and get started. And like, it can be hard if you are a perfectionist, but like you will learn by just doing it. Like when you're launching something or something comes out, it does not have to be perfect, because you will learn on the way. And that's, I feel a lot of people like want everything to be perfect when things come out, or like when you want to start something, but it really doesn't. Like you will learn on the way. And I think that perfectionism is really holding a lot of people back on like what they're doing. And I remember my first videos, like they were terrible, and they were so cringy for me. I would just post it and I literally never watch it again. And I was like, I would post it and just like, I was like, okay, it just cringed me so much. But like, people will also really enjoy following your journey. And I think sometimes we forget that people actually really like to see people, other people like evolve in that way. And it's okay. I think it's a beautiful thing. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect at the beginning, and people will root and people will be there and people will see the growth too. So I think that's definitely a really big one. And then another one, something what has been really helpful for me is like not wanting to do everything by yourself. Like, to able to grow and evolve, like, it's important to have other people around. Maybe it can be team members, and I think trusting other people to do and to help you, I think is very important, because I could not have done everything like without my team. Like, it's impossible. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, that's huge for myself included. Like, bringing an assistant, or she started as an unpaid intern, like doing what you can to just get some sort of help, I think is huge.
Yeah,
for sure. And you're right. You kind of do just have to start. Like, I look back at my first TikTok videos too, and I'm like, and they still get likes, by the way, from like 3 years ago. It'll come up sometimes. I'm like, why is TikTok still pushing these videos? I'm like, this is not me anymore. They're like the most cringe things ever.
I know. It's what people like. Yeah.
But yeah, it was like it was authentic. It was me just showing up authentically. And even if that meant it was very cringy or like imperfect, it was still showing up. Yeah. And I think a lot of women are scared to just show up.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you touch base on a really good point also in like being authentic. Like, you gotta create and build for yourself and not like just for others. And I think staying true to yourself, what you want to put out there, like your vision, I think it's really important.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For sure. Huge. So I want to ask some more rapid fire questions, because I asked my community to ask any questions for you.
Yes.
And one question that kept coming up was about your muscle gain journey. So everyone wants to know a little bit more about your muscle gain journey, like what you're trying to do, how you're trying to accomplish that. Because I saw you share a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's actually still like pretty new, I would say. So I don't know. I've always had like a weird period, I would say.
Yes.
Throughout my modeling years, I lost my period for like 2 years, and then like it got back and like it went away again. And then I think last December, I lost my period again. I was actually very frustrated because I was like, I don't know what's happening. I do all the things right. Like I'm moving, like low impact workouts. I am eating very healthy, and like I actually feel like more balanced than I've ever been. So like it was like confusing to me. I definitely think also a big role with health, or what it was I was planning a wedding, and I think that unconsciously gave so much stress to myself. So like after the wedding was over, I was like, okay, now the wedding's over. I really got to focus on my body and my health, because having a period is extremely important.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, the last time I got it back, I wasn't sure like what I exactly did to like get it back. So this time I was like, you know what? I need to get my fat percentage up. And it's actually pretty hard for me to like gain muscle and weight. I've always like, it's been like kind of a lot of work to actually hold muscle.
Yeah.
Even when I was like training with like the personal trainers and stuff, they were always like, oh my God, like you really like need to like pump it up. So I was like, okay, you know what? I need to get my fat percentage up. And I was like, why would I not want to like combine that with extra muscle? Because obviously when you're gaining muscle, you're also gaining fat. It's very hard to like gain muscle and not gain any fat. I mean, it's possible, but like it's very difficult. And I was like, I also saw that as a little bit of a challenge for myself. And I was like, you know what? I want to feel strong. And if my body is going to change, like I want to have some like extra muscle and do that. So I really started focusing on my nutrition, really upping protein. And I started to realize too, where I was like, wow, I was not hitting 125 grams of protein a day.
It's hard.
I always thought I did, but then once I actually started looking at it closer, I was like, wait, I didn't.
Yeah.
And it was almost like against my intuitive eating, because normally when I like am full, or like when I'm not feeling breakfast immediately first thing in the morning, I just would wait a little bit, but now I was like, no, from the first moment, I will have breakfast, like get protein. And I was really focused on that, adding more strength training in combination with Pilates. And then literally within 2 months, I got my period back. So now I was like, wow, that was actually a very clear like lifestyle change. And immediately my body responded to it. And I was like, now I'm like in a flow. I'm like, wait, this feels really, really good. And I just also really hope that it can help other like girls and like inspire them to make these like changes into like nutrition and movement to get their period back, because a lot of us have hormone imbalances and problems and stuff. But yeah,
that was a big question too, was like, how did she get her period back, you know, tips for that. And I think it's such a beautiful reminder to talk about it, because to say, hey, maybe you should eat more, like even if you're not hungry, you know, in the mornings, maybe it goes against a little bit of intuitive eating, maybe you actually need it, maybe you need to train your body a little bit in that way. And I think that's so beautiful to talk about it, because it goes against the common day narrative, right? Eat less, work out more. And it's like, but what if your body is actually responding better?
It was just mind-blowing to me that it just went against my like intuitive eating, you know. And I definitely think that having breakfast first thing in the morning was huge. Like adding so much protein to each meal, and adding obviously extra carbs to it. In the weekends, like really taking like time off, and I think that just made a really big difference. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's amazing. I mean, I personally am not a fan of intermittent fasting.
Oh yeah.
Because that wrecked my hormones. And so once I started introducing of nourishing, you know, balanced breakfast with protein, fat, carbs, my body responded chef's kiss, like just so much better. Yeah. And so of course, you know, you want to listen to your body. Everyone's different. But, you know, if that worked for you, eating more protein, eating a good breakfast, you know, taking care of your body in that way, and obviously having less stress helps too.
Oh, 100%. And it's also correlated, because I notice like when I'm very stressed, like I literally can't eat a lot of food. Like it just, you either go either way. You either like crave so much, or like your appetite goes away. My appetite goes kind of away when I'm like super stressed. But the weird thing is like I enjoy intermittent fasting a little bit. Like I actually feel good. Like I'm very sharp, but like even though I feel good, my body's saying something different. So I really gotta listen. Yeah,
I know mentally, I know what you mean. You can feel like a little bit more sharp.
Yeah,
but I feel like as a woman, like our female hormones are so like sensitive.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so sensitive, like even to like a stress or this, like your body can just be affected so much. But I think that's beautiful, and I think that a lot of women need to hear that, you know, when it comes to getting their period back, like really taking more time to eat more, nourish your body, breakfast, like all these different things that helped you.
Yeah, definitely think taking time to understand your body and like what it really needs. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. 100%. So I guess another question that kept coming up from my audience was around staying motivated. And so I know like motivation's a very big topic, but I guess I want to hear from you, like your tips for how do you stay motivated, you know, whether that's in wellness, what you're doing, you know, keep being on top of your health and, you know, self-care practices. What are your tips for staying motivated?
Yeah. I've always like really thought that motivation is not something that just comes, right? It's not like I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, I'm just waiting for my motivation to come to like go for my workout or something like that.
Yes.
Like, motivation starts when you actually take action. So like when you're on the couch, like you almost need to think about that moment of like, okay, once you're like, let's say in the gym, it's like you're actually starting to feel good, you will get energy, and I'm like, okay, that's where then the motivation like comes in.
Yes.
So for workouts, I've always like, you know, when I really don't feel motivated, I like ask myself a question. I'm like, has there ever been a workout that I've regretted doing?
Yes.
And when you really think about it, like never. Like you just always, or not, you always just come out like feeling better, and it doesn't have to be a heavy workout. And I would sometimes like almost like trick myself. I would be like, okay, you just need to go for 10 minutes, just do a stretch. And then I would make it to the gym and I would just do my stretch, and then actually where the motivation starts, because I took action and I'm like, oh, actually I'm gonna do 10 minutes more, and I'm like really getting into it. So I think that's always very important to think about, and then just like writing out your goals and just coming back to it often. I think, and I think that's also where you build like self-confidence, right? Because like motivation is like you set yourself these like little goals, and then if you like are able to like accomplish them, or you're, you know, disciplined enough to like reach them, I think that's where you really build like self-growth and like the confidence to like do that. But definitely writing out your motivations, like putting them up. Like I truly believe that your path in life is so much in your control. Like you are the only person who is really able to make changes, and yeah, it requires work.
I love that. I mean, that's the whole premise of like within you, of the brand, the podcast, is like it truly is within you, within your hands. Like you have the power, which is so empowering, to take control over your life, to take control over anything you don't like, anything you want to change. And so it's very, you know, inspiring and empowering to have someone on like you who's really, you know, paved your own path, you know, done what you've really felt within like yourself is right for you in your life. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's powerful, but it's also so scary at the end, because that means that like all the responsibility of your life, like it's you. And I think sometimes we're really scared to like face that. But
100%. That's why we complain and we have victim mindset.
100%.
And we say, oh, we can't because of this. We have excuses. It's normal.
And I sometimes do the same thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I have
me
excuses to myself all the time, and I just need to remind myself sometimes, like,
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. It's human nature. So I want to end today's podcast with one final question from the audience. And that is all around how, I guess, especially for you, have such an interesting perspective coming from the modeling industry, but how do you find, you know, a healthy relationship with your body and with yourself? Like what tips do you have for somebody, I guess, who's listening, who maybe doesn't have the healthiest relationship with their body and is maybe like critical, very hard on them? Like what advice can you give for like more self-love, or, you know, just body love in general?
Body love.
Yeah.
Love that question.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that one thing that really helped me is just navigating your self-talk. And I think we're very often like very unconscious how often in even little words throughout the day we're like, I'm not good at that, or like, I can't do that, or like, oh no, I really suck in doing that. Like even if we're talking about like, oh, my handwriting, oh no, it's so bad, like I can't do it. And I think if you really start to notice like throughout the day how you're actually talking about yourself and to yourself, you really got to switch that. Like get that negative self-talk out there already in those little moments, because it will really affect like the bigger picture. And like when you look at the mirror and you see yourself, that you're actually able to like love yourself a little bit more. And I actually also think like sometimes looking in the mirror and actually saying out loud what you would tell like your younger self. But I really think like small doses like that in the more, or like throughout the day, is like there is absolutely no need to talk yourself down, because if you're putting those words out there, it you start to believe them.
Yes.
And we want to do the opposite.
Beautiful. Changing your self-talk is like literally one of the biggest game changers, I think, for life.
100% for life.
Because it is so common that we'll just like tear ourselves down without even like being conscious or aware of it. Yeah. Like we'll be getting ready to go out and we're like, oh, my skin looks bad, or my body this. Like I remember getting ready with my girlfriends in college. Back in those days, we'd all like get ready in the same room or whatever apartment, and everyone's like tearing themselves down before they're even going out. They're like putting on their makeup and they're giving themselves like, you know, negative self-talk, and they're saying it too. And I'm like, why are you guys talking? I mean, first off, they're beautiful, but also it's like you're about to go out and like meet up with people and see people. How do you think that's going to affect like your energy?
Yeah, 100%. I think
it's a game changer.
I think that is very important.
So be kinder to yourself, everyone listening.
100%.
You're doing great. You're beautiful.
You're doing
be
great.
kind to yourself.
You're crushing it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod today.
Thank you.
Truly love this conversation. I feel like there's so many nuggets in here for women and everyone listening to really take in their day-to-day lives. So please let us know where the audience can find you. Let us know about the SOULSYNCBODY platform too. Plug yourself. Let us know where we can connect even further.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at Sanne Vloet, SANNE or at SOULSYNCBODY, and also soulsyncbody.com. Yeah.
Beautiful. Definitely check it out, you guys. SOULSYNCBODY is a beautiful, amazing platform. And definitely check out Sanne as well, because you are just a beauty and a light in the wellness space. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Of course.